Well, welcome to the April 18th, 2023 Board of Commissioners Workshop. I'm with you tonight. My church is voting on whether to leave the Methodist Church, so, oh well. My church is voting on whether Methodist. Let's stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As you remain standing, let us express our appreciation to Almighty God. Oh God, we thank you for the ability to come together in freedom. Once again, we're reminded there are places all over this world where if you say something wrong, you're put in jail. Let us rejoice in our freedom and in our ability to govern ourselves as we go through this Board of Commissioners workshop tonight. Amen. All right, I take it that presentation on design build option is yours.
I'm going to start it, but you got to do the approval of the agenda first.
Okay, there is that there, isn't that? Is there any additional material for the agenda?
I don't think so.
That's a personnel matter. You need to add, tell him so he can tell us what to add.
Man, I need to add in closed session discussions on the property question for the police department. Property acquisition, yes.
I was going to cover that anyway.
Okay.
What is that a? Something.
Give you this site, we already have a closed session, so.
Yes, it's just changing the site.
Yeah.
I believe it's 4 days.
Okay, so we changed the closed session after the regular meeting to A4 and A6 to discuss property and a personnel matter. Is that acceptable to
Yes, sir.
everybody? Okay. Is there a motion that we approve the amended agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Okay, now.
All right. This evening, we want to talk to you about design build, which is a method you can use when you're building public buildings. I've given you a list of the types of ways you can build public buildings. The first one is the separate prime bidding. And on that way, the town hires an architect to design the building. You take bids on plumbing, general, HVAC, and electric. The second item is what they call single prime building bidding, and there you do the same. You hire an architect, you design the building, and instead of bidding all four trades separately, you do one bid. And that bidder hires the different trades to finish the job. The third option there is dual bidding, and you can actually do A and B at the same time, and you can decide which one works out better for you. The fourth one listed there is a construction management at risk contract, which is what you just went through.
Right.
And you know how that turned out for you. So the fifth item there is done what they call design build. The town goes through a selection process. You select a general contractor that builds your buildings for you, and that's how that's built. And then they have what they call a design build bridging contract, which they kind of call design build light. You still hire an architect. They design the building up to about 35% of the design, then your general contractor takes over from there, and your architect still kind of helps you through those steps. So that's kind of a design build light, just a different option of design build. But
So are you saying with that the you hire an architect? So basically, what the architect is designing is the layout, the
and
look,
sketches, yeah,
without
types of
going
materials you want to use and things like that.
right,
So,
without going into placing electrical, plumbing, and all of that stuff. It's like, this is a bathroom. Now you have got to
Yeah.
take your contractor, or whoever that decides what you want to put in these spaces.
Yeah.
But you say they are still.
type of materials and
Are they still, but you say they are still tied in to what point? Or is that just the end of it, once
they
they're,
have to design it up to 35%, but they also act as your agent between you and the general contractor.
Okay.
And basically, they don't do all the design work, but they design it up to 35%, then they help you manage the project going.
Okay, who represents the town in making decisions above 35%?
The town and the architect together,
Who represents the town in making decisions above 35%?
the town, basically.
Who represents the town?
so are you talking about then within, somebody is picking out flooring, carpet, walls?
Distribution of space?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Guys, keep in mind, and tell me if I'm wrong, Richard, to create 35%, but you got to understand, we already have plans. And that could count as
Those
our
plans
35.
are worthless.
No, it's not.
That's a two-story, 20,000
I
square
understand,
foot
but they could
building.
take those plans and 35% of it, narrow it down to where, and is getting to your question, Alan, about the carpet and all of that, the general contractor that we choose would do that. The town would not have any say-so in that. Correct?
They would work with you
Well, they would, I'm sure,
making those
it's just like they would
choices.
present you something in concept. This is what we would do to the inside of the building and get our approval on it. But there's nobody in this group or town that we want picking out all that mess and making decisions. You want a designer to do that for you and
Yeah.
give it to you.
And your general contractor, you got to have faith in them that they're looking out for your best.
Right.
So are we going to fill the space over here with a building? We're already talking about doing a police department building,
And you talk about
So-
looking at
Excuse me,
different
door's
sites.
locked
We'll
back
discuss
there.
that in closed session, so.
but that's 40% of the prior plans. So that's going to be separate, or either that's going to happen on the site over here. So how does all that work? I mean,
I think all you can use those old plans for is the concept, the size offices you need, the type of facility you need, which rooms you need, what,
okay.
how many offices you need, the size of those offices and things of that nature. Like when you're talking about building something, completely different from what you were
We
looking
are.
at to start with.
Yes.
I've got two contractors here this evening who deal in design, build. The first one I'm introduced is Bobby Evans with Ferrier and Sons.
Okay.
They're out of Farmville, North Carolina. They have built numerous town halls, police stations, gymnasiums all over eastern North Carolina. And I suspect they have built it using, all 6 or 7 of these methods. But I invited Bobby this evening, to discuss design build with you. And our
Okay.
second presentation will be from Southeastern Interiors. And they do a lot of work around Campbell University. So I think they are two that are very capable of doing what you want to do. And I think they both came to the conclusion that the building opportunities and the building cost are much less than what you were looking at. So I'm going to turn it over to Bobby, let him tell you something about Farrier.
Okay, well, good, good. So we're starting over, basically. Tell us some good news.
All right. Richard, thank you. Mayor, Commissioners, appreciate the opportunity and the invitation to come tonight to share with you a little bit about Farrier and Sons and myself and what we do, what we're all about, what we've done. I will be brief. Farrier and Sons is a fourth generation family-owned business out of Farmville, North Carolina. We're about an hour and 15 minutes from you. There may be a more direct way, but I took 95 and 40 and 210, and traffic wasn't bad at all. It took us about an hour and 15 minutes. Even brought my wife with me. Tried to get her to come tonight, but this really isn't her type of thing. She'd rather stay on over there at the brick and mortar restaurant, and she said, "Come get me when you're done." So I can understand that. And
If you miss your turn from Farmville and go to Bethel, that's where I'm from.
okay, very familiar with Bethel.
What's left of it.
Knew the mayor over there for many years, Frank Hemingway.
Yeah.
My dad was the mayor of Farmville for 20 years, so I've a little bit of experience in you know what you guys do. Yes, sir.
You know Bobby.
Bobby Godley. Well, I'm the same age as his brother Billy. Billy and I grew up together, went to school together. Bobby is a couple of years older than I am. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Okay, well, good. I appreciate that. Let me tell you, like I say, we're fourth generation. I've been with the company since, well, I started in 1985 while I was still a senior in high school, worked there part-time through college. 88, I started there full-time. In 1995, I was named vice president in charge of marketing and estimating. In 2000, I was made partner, and there are three owners of Farrier and Sons. There's Bill Farrier Sr., Bill Farrier Jr., and myself. Over that night, of course, obviously I haven't been there since 62, but I've been there since 1988 full-time. We built 50 municipal projects, 15 fire stations, 70 school projects, over 200 medical projects, 180 churches, 30 family life centers, 80 professional offices, industrial projects, retail projects, and restaurants. We have a very diverse background and experience, and we do that because being from Eastern North Carolina and not willing to travel. When I say not willing to travel, we try to stay within an hour-and-a-half radius of Farmville. And we do that on purpose because we want our people to be at home at night. We don't want to travel all over the United States to trying to be everything for everybody. We try to do a very good job in a very small or limited area. So in order to keep 12 to 15 superintendents or projects going at any one time, we have to do a very diverse type of construction. We don't specialize in any one thing. We do a variety of things. The majority of our business is repeats and referrals. I've been blessed in my life that I've been 35 years there, and I bet you I can call the number of cold calls we've ever done or I've ever done on one hand. And so I think that speaks volumes of your reputation and what people think about you and what your customers think about you if you're able to stay busy and stay in a very localized or very small area. You might ask, why design build? As Richard talked about all those various ways to deliver a project. We've done, I wouldn't say all of them, but we've done a lot of them. In 35 years, in my opinion, the best way to deliver a project is design build, because you're taking the owner, the users of the property and the building, you're taking and you're putting them together with an architect and engineering firm, which brings a certain level of expertise to the project, and you're also bringing the general contractor who is seeing what sub prices and material prices are every day, and know that, okay, what may be the most cost efficient way to have built something a year ago or 2 years ago may not be the right decision today. We're here to work with you hand in hand to help you make all those decisions that you were talking about earlier, because there are a whole lot of decisions to be made. I think it's the best way because, to me, a general contractor and brought up to be or raised on a farm, I know the value of a dollar, and I know that I've not had a customer yet, and all these customers, and a lot of these were my projects, primarily most of them design build. I've yet to meet a customer who says, I don't care what it costs. I want what I want. We're going to build you a nice building, an efficient building, one that functions, one that's low maintenance, one that's energy efficient, but I'm not going to build you a Taj Mahal. If you want a Taj Mahal, you probably need to select someone else. We build very simple, basic buildings that work, and we try to keep it within a reasonable price range because somebody's got to pay for that, and in this case, the town and the taxpayers. So we take that responsibility very serious. We establish a working, realistic budget up front, and then we work with you and your architects and engineers through the design process, the permitting process, and the construction process to make sure that we build what we say we're going to build, and we build it within a cost parameters that we all set together. And in today's world, I admit that's very difficult because prices are very volatile. Steel peaked out in November of 2022. They dropped through the end of February, and now they're back on the rise. It used to be that I could build buildings 10, 20, 30,000 square feet, and I'd give people a turnkey price, and I'd have nothing more than a floor plan or elevation. That's a little more difficult now because there's so many different rules and regulations and things that are required. Plus, you're also talking about that the subcontractors and suppliers, a lot of it seems to be it's related or directly related to what's going on in the world and what material prices are, what the labor market is, and we're all having challenges right now in the labor end of it. So we're seeing these prices, they're just very volatile. Things that I say, well, I used to pour this for $10 a square foot. Today it might be 12. Tomorrow it might be 9. I'm still waiting for that, but it hadn't gone down a whole lot. For 61 years, we've built over 2,600 projects, ranging anywhere from as small as 20,000 square feet to as large as 20 million. I think the primary thing you need to do in selecting any general contractor, architect, or engineer, whatever firm you select, you got to select someone with experience and trust. And the best way to get the trust is not only to meet and listen to the people, but also to talk to the people that know you. As I like to say, the proof is in the pudding. Now, I hope I didn't take up too much of your time, but I'd be glad to try to answer any questions you may have. If not, I'll leave you with that.
Okay, we're kind of in the middle of trying to make a decision here. We certainly want the police department to be well housed and well organized. We certainly want the administrative functions to be cared for. I suppose we have options of separating those or putting those together. What kind of experience first have you had in town halls where the administrative, the board meeting facilities, and the police department are all together?
Well, the one we're most familiar with is Town of Farmville because we built Town of Farmville Town Hall. I think that might have been in the mid-'90s. You remember, Richard? Well, it was in the mid-'90s, late '80s. That was one of my projects. So I had just started there when we did that. But the courthouse and the meeting room is up on the second floor. The administrative offices are on the ground floor, and then on one, it's probably not half of the ground floor, but probably maybe a third of the ground floor is the police department. So, we've had experience where they're all under one roof on one site. We've had them where they're in multiple buildings or all on the same site.
Okay. What experience do you have in just police departments?
I don't know that we have built just a police department. It's primarily been town hall and police departments combined. We've got, like I say, a number of EMS stations. I know that's not what you're talking about building, but that along with fire departments. I think one of the things you're thinking about building along with this is a community center. We've built a number of community centers, not only for towns, but primarily for churches. Like I say, 20 years ago, community centers or family life centers, as most churches refer to it today, which is a community center. It's a gym, commercial kitchen, meeting rooms, restrooms, that type of thing. But I would not, I can't recall of just a standalone police station that we have built.
Okay. But you have built community centers. What, just a wild question. We're looking at a community center, a police department, and a town hall. How many of those projects could you undertake at one time?
Well, we have 12 superintendents, so depending on when jobs are finishing up and the next round starts, we always have one or two that are coming available at any given time. Depending on workload, I mean, we could handle all three projects. We certainly could handle one, and like I say, depending on timing, we could handle all three. But again, that would be hard to say. I would imagine at the stage I perceive you to be in at this point, you could be looking at 12 months to get a building designed and permitted, and then another 12 months to build it. Now, again, that's assuming you're going to do, let's say, one 20,000 square foot building that would house both the police station and the town hall and meeting rooms. And then, same thing if you were looking at building a second building that would be a community center. It can go a little faster than that, but on average, from what we see and what we do, especially if we're talking about, let's say we're talking about a 12,000 square foot or 15,000 square foot community center with gym and meeting rooms and restrooms and some office space versus, say, a 20,000 square foot combination police station. The police station and the town hall obviously would take a little bit longer. It's just a little bit more involved, a little bit more in depth.
Okay. Questions from the board?
I'm curious, and yes, so how long have you been doing this? Like since the late 80s or something, as you said. I'm curious about who you bring in these days, and because designs have changed immensely, and I don't think that we're looking to build a dated building that looks like it could have been built 20 years ago.
Right.
I personally will be leaning towards more of a contemporary design that will hold up. Now, I understand I flip houses myself. And if you get an old bones in a structure, you don't try to revamp it completely. But how are you about bringing in younger, new blood to do these designs for you in this modern world that we're living in?
The majority of our design build work, we team up with an architectural firm out of Kinston named Dunn and Dalton Architects. I don't know if you're familiar with their work or not, but they're all younger than I, and so they have younger, fresher ideas than I do. I'm very vanilla. Everything would be blue or brown or off-white if I did it, and things would be, everything is symmetrical for me. But again, that's why, I think you blend the best of both worlds when you take someone like myself, but then you blend it with someone who has those ideas you're talking about. But I would suggest that you visit their website. Be glad to bring them here. But Dunn and Dalton does the majority. We typically team up with them. They typically use, for plumbing, mechanical, electrical engineers, Atlantic engineers out of Raleigh. They typically use Mark Roy, RPA Engineering out of Greenville for their structural engineering. And in terms of civil piece, which is becoming more and more involved and complicated every day with water and sewer and sedimentation, erosion control, and all the things you got to deal with there, we typically like to team up with a local civil engineer, just because they're more familiar with what ANGER is going to require in terms of getting the site plans approved and permitted. That just seems to roll smoother to us. We sort of serve, I use the analogy as the quarterback of the team. We sort of try to be the liaison between those design professionals and yourself and us to try to make sure everything stays on track and keeps moving forward, and we keep some semblance of a schedule. and that things just don't continue to slide, and 6 months turns into 12 months, and 12 months turns into 18 months.
What experience do you have? And someone last month mentioned to us, which I found fascinating. That part of it I hadn't really considered, but they were mentioning the options in that was in more contemporary, I understand, designs, but where today they're using more, what's the word I want to use?
Like glass.
Pre-built,
Recycled material?
Yeah.
pre-built material.
Yeah, pre-built.
Pre-fat, I mean, so we've got lots of glass, we've got lots of beams, but rather than putting every piece together individually, they are designing with some things that exist already in order to cut the cost down in the build. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with that. I would say our construction experience and knowledge, for the most part, is more of a traditional brick and mortar. We've explored a lot of those options over the years, and a lot of times and again, that's one of the things we bring to the table, is that we'll research that and we're going to price it and give you options so that you can make those decisions. And quite frankly, a lot of times those decisions are driven by price, and a lot of times some of those, like I say, some of those decisions get dropped or don't pick up because the cost is prohibitive. So I can't speak to any specific items that you're referring to, but as a rule, again, that's one of the things that we bring to the table is that when you start talking about your various options, we're going to talk about, okay, we can go option A, B, or C, and here's what the cost ramifications are, so that you make an informed and educated decision without just making a decision, hey, that sounds neat and looks neat. Wait a minute, but it's costing me $1 million. Okay, well, maybe it doesn't sound so neat now.
Right.
I think the word you were looking for was prefab.
Prefab. I do believe that was, this firm did bring in some of their renderings where they were, yes, materials that, and it's the same thing with building a house today. Can you build a house for half the amount of money if you can use prefab material to make some of that house happen? Yes, you can. So you're just curious about that.
And still be heating and cooling efficient at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a project like this, you would have, who are you thinking about down the road as far as season?
Yes, we have two project managers. One is Bill Ferry Jr., who's same age as I. We both started in the company at the same time. Like I say, he runs the field operations. I run the office operations. We have a second project manager by the name of Scott Fuzzle. Scott's been with us 21 years and came to us straight out of ECU, been with us ever since he graduated. Like I said, we have 12 superintendents. We have superintendents that range in years of service with us, anywhere from, I think the minimum we have maybe, we just hired a new superintendent, but for the most part, most of them have been with us anywhere from 5 to 25 years. We have one that just retired that was with us over 40 years. But to answer your question, don't have a specific one in mind. It depends, again, it all relates back to timing and experience for us. I mean, we wouldn't put someone up here who didn't have the experience to run a project of the scope and size you're talking about.
And you have any idea what you're
It for a number of years we were below 1. I think we're like 1.02 or 3 right now. We had let's say a minor accident. We had a lost time accident when one of our guys, we were building a concession stand at Clayton High School, and he had an accident, and I think he had some broken ribs. So I think right this minute, of course, as you know, that's a 3-year average. So once you have an accident, lost time accident, it sticks on your record for 3 years.
Your LEPs, what was the contractor, what was try to get him to warehouse or proof out their stuff so do you push those guys to, hey, you need to order 100 windows today, don't wait 3 weeks before project?
We push that. We also ask them to do that. And again, if we need to pay for those materials early to make sure, A, that they're there when we need them, and B, that we don't experience price fluctuation or increase, we ask them to purchase those materials early on. And again, we will pay for those materials as long as they're in a bonded warehouse.
Who does your
Oh, we have a variety of people. Like I say, we typically, when we have a project, we will send it out, used to send it out to about 3 in every category. In today's world, we typically send it out to a few more, because you may send it out to 3, and you may, depending on people's workload, you may get 1 back. You may get 2. We like to get at least 3 on every category. So in today's world, we may send it out to 5 or 6 in hopes of getting back 2 or 3. Years ago, you never had to worry about that. Everybody you invited or asked would give you a price. Absolutely, absolutely.
What about normal?
Well, it used to be 10%, but the state adopted a 5% policy 3 or 4 years ago. So we typically follow the state policy and guidelines with 5%. At the end, when we're done and you've walked through the building and you say, this is built to plans and specifications, this is what, punch list is complete, closeout documents are in hand, warranties are in hand.
How does your company feel about change?
Don't like them. And I know contractors will tell you that because that's what contractors should tell you, but it's the truth. I can't. In my years, I know there's probably been customers who thought, because I even think that you add a door, and I tell you that door is going to cost you $2,500 by the time you buy the door, the frame, the hardware, you install it, and you paint it. You look at me like, man, you got to be kidding. There's no way it would cost that much. And I bet you $2,500, $1,500, whatever it is, I don't make any money at it. So I'd rather not have any. I'd rather for us to plan as best we can so that we limit those change orders. But, the truth of the matter is you can't eliminate them all, because if you thought through them all and you spent years, you still would have some. You still would see something and say, hey, I want to do that a little bit different. Or I didn't think of that.
If the town decides to go with
Design build.
owner's rep, how often do y'all have
Well, at a minimum of once a month, but I mean, it depends. At the beginning stages, you probably have them maybe one every couple of weeks. At some point, normally the project progresses far enough that those meetings can stretch out to maybe once a month. But during design phases and when you're trying to get the project off the ground, of course, again, today's world's a little bit different than what it used to be. Now by Zoom or Microsoft Teams or something like this, you can meet. I have one project in Wilson and LaGrange we're doing right now for a customer building a plant for them, and we meet every Tuesday at 2 o'clock for an hour via Microsoft Teams.
y'all do any green projects?
Not a whole lot. And again, green is one of those things, I don't mean to offend anybody, it's one of those ones that sounds nicer. When you start putting prices to it, people seem to, because of the cost, it always seems to go by the wayside. Yes, sir.
Other questions from the board? Yeah, that's why we paying the big bucks.
Well, I just want to say thank you and appreciate the invitation, and you got a lovely town here, and y'all have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you need to wait, just let me know.
Thank you.
They're probably sold out at 12:30. Yeah. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Gary,
Sorry. Okay. No. Right on the edge, probably. Okay. Without objection, let's do that.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to get a two-full today, but I did, so. Good evening, Mayor, Board. I'm here to, Veronica, do we have pictures that they can see? Or? Okay, so you had the packet, so, been working on Church Street and have a dwelling at 272 West Church Street that I'm requesting to demolish. It's been certified that the property is going to cost more than 50%. All the requirements have been met. The fact and finding issued out, everything's been met in that regards. And I'm just requesting that we do a ordinance to demolish this structure.
Okay. Let's see.
No, I think y'all have the photos, so, yes, it's usually when I come here, they're in pretty bad shape, so this is one of those cases. Oh, no, you're fine.
Who's that? Who's that? Okay.
Not a problem. So we've demolished 3 houses in that general area in the last 2 years, so this will be the 4th. But we have had 2 that rehabilitated, so we're still making progress. We're working with the police department to try to get some things done, but this is just one thing that if we don't demolish it, then it's going to be here next year.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the ordinance is before you, and any questions about the ordinance? Looks fairly standard.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so. And if y'all have any questions other than what I've stated, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Yeah. Okay, is there a motion that we approve the ordinance to demolish the building at, what is it, 272 West Church Street?
I make the motion that we go ahead and approve it.
Okay,
Be
is any-
demolished.
Any discussion on that?
No.
Pictures look like it needs to be
Yeah.
done.
Picture
Yeah.
saved, yeah.
A good wind, take it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, absolutely, so.
All right, all in favor of adopting the ordinance, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. All right, thank you so much. Hope
Thank you.
hope you feel
Appreciate
better.
your time.
Shannon, real quick, I just want to let it be known, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was pretty rough on you.
Yes, sir. I won't deny that, but
But
I expect it comes with the
I
job.
am very proud of the work you've done, and you're doing, and you've covered everything.
Well,
We'll let you know, I
it's-
appreciate it. and,
it's- it's
You're doing a great job.
I appreciate that. It's a continual process that it just repeats itself sometimes, but we keep working at it.
You're doing a good job, Shannon.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good night.
Hope you feel better.
I appreciate it.
All right, so we're back to Southeastern Interiors and Jerry.
Make note, Jerry, that building in Southeastern Interior, so we can invite him. Miss Stevens to tell you something about their company and their thoughts on their lines, bills.
Yes, sir. There's no, I was going to introduce everybody and apologize for, we were at the other building, the trucks were over there, and I was like, well, we didn't talk, so apologize for that. But as you know, I'm Jerry Milton, Southeastern Interiors and Construction, and Kent Warren with Jackson Builders, and we partner up on many jobs. We had for 30 years or more, and we build stuff here in Harnett County, and we build stuff all over the state. But we've had work that, that we work with the customers from the beginning to the end. And with me is Kent Warren, Ray Potts, and Michael with Southeastern. So with the video and everything, we'll do the presentation and then talk to you about how we think we can help you and bring a building that you'd be honored and proud of.
I'm Kent Warren with Jackson Builders, and we are very fortunate to have been partnering with Southeastern for well longer than I've been there, and I've been there for 26 years at Jackson Builders. I am currently the president, been the majority owner for about 6 years, and I can't tell you of anything that I'm any prouder of our company and our association with some real high quality folks and subcontractors. Our relationship with Jerry is more than just a subcontractor-contractor relationship. They do about 90% of our interiors and a good bit of our framing, drywall, and other trades. So we rely on each other a lot.
Hey,
Tonight, what I brought to you, because this was a little bit of a tight schedule for me to put together something that was tailored to you as much as I would like. We have a partnership with a design firm that we've been working with for about 18 years. And they would come as part of a team that we put together. And our approach to construction, and I think when we go through these slides, you'll see the results of what we do. Hopefully there's enough information in there that'll get you to the meat of what we're really trying to sell you on, and that's a process. The process is to listen to you, find out what you need, find out what the community and the community needs, what your facility needs are going to be, and try to put that into a format and a facility that serves you well and fits within your budget. Our process hopefully identifies the budget piece of it well before we get a long way down the road. So if you will advance those slides. Again, that design firm is C Design. Just a few people that we'd bring to the table. The second guy, or the one in the middle there, is the lead designer on the project. He has a ton of municipal experience. He's designed anything from fire stations, police stations, governmental office buildings, kind of runs the gamut in the municipal sense. Rob Crane is the owner of C Design, or the chief executive there, and he's one of the principals. And then they have a complete interior staff, and we also have a relationship with a plumbing, mechanical, and electrical engineer we'd like to bring to the table that brings a lot of common sense engineering, so we don't end up with the high-end solution that costs you more than what your budget is, that brings you a very good solution. The firm overviews, I'm going to be real brief on that. Jackson Builders has been in business for 49 years. We started as basically a shade and shelter, pre-engineered building contractor, and we've evolved tremendously, grown more than we would have ever thought. Even when I got there 26 years ago, I would have never thought that we'd have grown to the state that we're in. We build some amazing things. We have some relationships with some municipalities, and I'd encourage you to follow up with them. Some in particular, Town of Knightdale. We've got 4 projects going with them right now. Town of Zebulon, Town of Wendell, and it's all kind of it leapfrogs from one community to another. We've finished a lot of community fire departments here in the past couple of years. So our ability to work with municipalities, town governments, local government units is pretty unparalleled, we think, in eastern North Carolina. Our team, the way we structure it is you're going to be, or somebody in the town of Andrew is going to be a point. They're going to tell us what these needs are, and we're going to work for you. We're not going to tell you what you need. And that's something that a lot of architects and engineers don't get right. The team that we've got will get right. They listen, and so do we. And we participate in the design process in that as soon as we get a conceptual drawing, we begin budgeting. So we start with Southeastern Interiors and our forte, the steel construction, the roofing, the glass, and the exteriors. We begin to put together a package that budget gets fleshed out as we go. And you don't get to a situation where you're 90% design drawings and you've got 50% enough budget. So the project approach is just what I just described. We're going to be team oriented. We're going to listen. We're hopefully going to get you everything you want, and we'll tell you, if you tell us what the budget is, we'll tell you whether you've got enough. We've got enough project to meet those needs. And the partnership history. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our relationship with C Design, and I'm going to follow up with Southeastern Interiors. The relationship with C Design started 18 years ago. We started doing a lot of work for Piedmont Natural Gas. We built 4 operations centers for them. We design, build compressed natural gas fueling facilities for them, and we've done maintenance shop and other things. So there was a whole lot of work that happened, and we did them all in conjunction with C Design. We took one building and completely repurposed a 60,000 square foot warehouse and turned it into their operations center in Fayetteville. Beautiful project. We did ground up projects in Goldsboro and Tarboro that are state-of-the-art facilities. Just things that, things that we never would have dreamed we'd have been doing 49 years ago. I mean, I was just thought about 49 years ago, but one of the really nice things is every one of the projects that I've mentioned that we work with C Design on, we finished on budget, on time, and with the help of Jerry's team at Southeastern. That team provided on those projects, invaluable help from the beginning to the end. So we not only knew what we were getting, we knew what we were delivering before we ever put a shovel in the ground. And that's that's the kind of relationship we want to have, is that you know what you're going to get before you get it, and you know what you're going to spend before you spend it. Just a little company profile, just to show you some of the things. You may recognize a few of them, you may not. I mean, these are, again, I didn't have time to tailor this project or this PowerPoint to this as much as I would like to, but for municipal and civic organizations, we've got Antioch Fire Department, I think, is the one on the left. The one below it is a building we built for Wayne County, a shell building that we've done for them. And one of the really good things is we won't just build your first one. We hope we will build all of them. We're doing 2 other ones right now for Wayne County. We finished a 911 center that you're going to see, I think, in some following slides. If you drive anywhere in eastern North Carolina, you'll see us building a Smithfield Chicken and Barbecue, and hopefully you'll stop and eat at it and support our customer. But we built. You know what? We'll mention it. We're building our 9th one and fixing to start our 10th one, and so that kind of tells you the relationship that we have with our clients. It's longevity. It's something that when we build one for you, we think we're going to build the rest of them.
Where's your home office located?
In Goldsboro.
Okay.
So we're just under an hour from you.
Do you know Tim Hathcock?
I do. Tim's a deacon at my church. In fact, I just got off the deacon board, but Tim is a
Okay. He and I were in law school class together.
He's a fine fellow. But we're a small company in terms of numbers. Right now, we have 38 people on our payroll. 13 of us are in the office, and the rest of them are field employees. We do a lot of our own steel erection. We do a lot of our own carpentry. We install our doors, partitions, and hardware. The things that you touch every day are the things that we like to make sure we get done exactly right. We leave the rest of it, the finishes, the stuff that we're not any good at, to the professionals at Southeastern. And we do fabricate a lot of our own steel as well in smaller projects. And your project, in terms of what I think is going to be, we may end up being your steel fabricator too, and that saves you double markup. So, this is a little primer on C-Design. Kind of give them a little kudos. A lot of the things that we've built, they've designed and put together. They've done some amazing work, some that we've not done with them, but they do a lot of work at Charlotte Douglas Airport. They have done a lot of educational facilities, high-end educational facilities. And you see from the pictures, the quality of their work kind of speaks for itself. They were the 2022 AIA North Carolina Design winner. So they're a well-recognized firm and have the staff to support a job of this size. I was telling you, the team organization, the very hub of the wheel is going to be Anger. Somebody from Anger, or several people from Anger, will have to be involved in this to tell us what you need. And I'm sure you already have a really good idea of what those needs are, but we need to kind of surround you with the help from the construction side, the budgeting side, the design side, and to get you in the right place before we continue to plow forward with set plans. I can't even read this, so I know you're going to have trouble with it. We have a process, just like every other. Hopefully, anybody else that would do this would have a similar process, but we like to make sure that we're listening to begin with, because if we're not doing that, we're designing something the architect wants to design, and that's we found a good partner and one that will listen. So we've got that kickoff, information gathering, and some schematic design. And then the developmental stage of it, they begin to flesh out those details of a floor plan and elevation to give us some more meat. So our estimates and our budgets begin to mean more. And then design and pre-construction. We're really digging into the budget. We're getting some sub-interaction in those prices. We do something that's a little different than a lot of general contractors and a lot of design build contractors, in that we solicit subcontractor and tradesman input in the design. And that sounds like, well, why would you do that? Well, who can tell you better how to plumb something than a plumber? Who can tell you better what kind of mechanical system and how you should do your duct work and what you can do to, round the corners and make a project work better than a tradesman that does it every day? And then the construction process. So your whole team is going to be with you the whole way. We'll have construction admin from the architects and engineer side to make sure that we're building what they've designed in conjunction with your ideas. Some oversight there. We don't want the keys to the cash register. We want our share at the end, but we want to make sure that we're building what you want and you're getting what you pay for. And that's something that we think with that relationship that we're going to provide that we can give to you. This is some of the civic experience that C-Design brings to the table. If you look through there, you've got police station, Board of Election, an arts center. Governmental break room project that we had in Charlotte, another fire station, and a library. There's just a ton of experience, which is really helpful in a architect's quiver, so to speak. Design build experience. That's where Jackson Builders, Southeastern really begin to be easy to select. We've done over 3,000 projects, and most of them, we don't bid a lot of work. We do mostly design build, negotiated type work like we're talking about bringing to your table. We like that method because we get on the same side as the owner. We're partnering up, we're making sure our goals are congruent, and we're building what you want. Again, I think I touched on this earlier, but there's just a few of the projects that we've done. The one on the left is the exterior of Tarboro, Piedmont Natural Gas. That's a facility that won't be much different on the inside than what yours is. It's a little contemporary probably for what you're looking for on the outside. A very nice office facility. The one on the right is the Piedmont Natural Gas Contact and Operations Center for that region. Both really impressive facilities, and all three of the people we're talking, or all three of the firms, Jackson Builders, C Design, and Southeastern Interiors, did what we do on those projects. Why hire us? The person that's standing in front of you will have a lot of interaction. And when the person that owns most of the company is involved in your process, you get attention. That's going to be the same thing, I think, with Jerry Milton. Jerry lives in this neck of the woods. There's going to be a lot of attention from his standpoint. 2-decade teaming history. That's for us in C Design. Jackson Builders and Southeastern go back even farther than that. So there's a lot of teamwork that we've participated in, a lot of things that we've had a lot of opportunities to fall out, and we hadn't yet, and we're not going to. We work well together, and that benefits the owners and the clients and the people that are stakeholders in the process. And design build is what we do. We do a little bit of bid work, but we're much better at figuring out what you need, providing you the best solution, and turning you over a project in less time. And that's one of the other benefits of design build. You're going to go from A to Z a lot quicker than you are. And starting over, hiring an architect, getting a set of plans that you do or don't know what, you may have a budget, but you don't know if it's for you. So, that would be the encouraging factor from our side to tell you, whether you pick us or not, design build is a method that you shouldn't turn down. It's going to be the method that's going to get you there quicker, and I think for less money too.
Can you explain to the board why we should go with design build versus construction management contracts?
Well, you've got 2 or 3 different things going on there. Construction manager is going to take a set of prints that an architect has designed, and he's going to put it out for bid, and it's going to be, you're going to take the lowest of every price you get, and we all know what you typically get with the lowest price. It's not always the case. I mean, a lot of times, if we're bidding a job, I got a trade partner over there that not only delivers the best, he delivers very competitive prices, and in most cases, on bid day, he's got the price. So you've got situations like that. You may have a situation where you're getting exactly what you pay for, and you're getting the cheapest price on everything. That construction management agreement, I don't know if you're talking about at risk or is it a CM at risk? It's much like, I'll tell you that it's a lot like design build after the fact, after the design's done. So, you know, I can't completely say that it's a lot different. The difference is we do the upfront work with the subs and identify the people who we really want at the table. You know, identify the people we want to get an opportunity to price this, so that you do get market pricing, but you get the pick of the litter. You get people that'll show up. You get people that will service what they do, and I think that's the difference.
I don't want to see kind of long next week here, but I'm in this world, so I understand. I have one answer. You guys a lot of good questions.
Okay.
He does safety.
$5 million
Yeah.
Yes.
We had a little printout here, Kevin, but I want to kind of read a lot of portion of it.
Okay.
Board. Kind of what I don't agree with, to be honest.
Okay.
High level of trust and communication required.
That's correct.
That's the disadvantage of what you're saying. For design people.
That's right.
I don't agree with that because if we choose you, you'll have to trust and hope in y'all.
That's right. That's
You're
right.
going to do it. Right.
Yeah, if we don't have that, we not only say it's a bad method, but we don't want to do it for you if you can't trust us.
There's no competitive bidding taking place. You guys, you're going to be competitive bidding. I mean, your MEP.
That's correct.
Because if you come up too high, we're going to say no, thank you.
That's right. When we say we're going to do a design build project, there's several different ways to do it. We just finished one that was pretty miraculous in terms of schedule and budget, but we just did a $20 million job that we hit every budget that we gave them. I mean, and this was in the middle of COVID when you couldn't predict a price or a delivery, and we hit both of them. But to give you an example, the owner requested, this was even after we designed it and after we had identified the budget and who we really wanted to use, we went out and got competitive pricing and proved to them. And we proved to ourselves we might have had a miss in one or two places, but they were not huge misses. But we identified, hey, we've given you a competitive price. This is a competitive job. And we want to give you not only competitive, but we want to give you quality. And so we're going to identify subs and tradesmen that can do the work.
We don't have anybody in the family per se, like on the rep, nobody on the board, we don't have any investment in that. One of the disadvantages of this is the board owner is liable to the build process. That's right. And, well, I don't look at it that way. I want to own the rep, I want someone to trust, to have our best interest. And that's the question I'll leave it to now. On this project, Kent, you have a PM.
That's correct. We'll have a PM and a full-time superintendent.
Correct. And, Jerry, you're doing all the inside work. You've been doing the majority of it. You have so many people in there. You'll be doing the majority. Do you request from your vendors, your subcontractors, to buy or prefab stuff so they're not waiting 3 weeks before you need 100 windows and go and order it? Go ahead and get it by the price is down so it doesn't. Because we don't like change orders. I don't think y'all like change orders.
That's the benefit of design build, is that this helps eliminate the changes because we're all in it in the beginning to identify, hey, this won't work, let's figure it out. You're not necessarily not
Yeah.
going to need change orders,
Right.
but it cuts them down tremendously.
Yeah.
And as far as like the team that we have, Michael and I coming in here today, so when we live in our county, when we leave, we want to make sure that Andrew has something that's proud of and we can ride out on it.
Yeah.
In your MEPs, you'll ask for a COI, which is certificate of engineering, and to be bond.
We'll have every one of our tradespeople, regardless whether they're MEPs, finishes, concrete, every one of them will have the insurance we require, which is, we'll give you those requirements if you'd like to see them, but they're pretty high requirements. We'll bond it, you know, we'll bond to the town. The subs with high dollar values, we can choose to bond or not bond. That's the you know, if we use somebody that we use every day, and you've already got a bond from us, it's kind of like you're riding free on us. And yeah, if they're the subs that we typically use, then I'm gonna recommend you not pay that 1% or 1.25% to bond it. Now, you will have to bond it with us, not because we require it, but I think by law, you guys will have to do it.
And I asked the other firm in here a while ago about the steel company, who do they use? Well, I know who y'all use, and you might, fab your own steel for this project.
Depending on the structural system, if it ended up being a hybrid or a pre-engineered building, which what I know about it, doesn't really lend itself to a pre-engineered. It may lend itself to a hybrid. So we would use Butler if we did that. If we build it conventional, there's a good chance we'd fabricate a good deal of it, and probably buy joist and deck from a Nucor or a New Millennium. Right.
The other thing was, do you know y'all, do you have any idea what you did already?
I know it just changed. It was I won't say it was a .84, and it went up. We had one injury, and with 38 people, it goes up. It did exceed one, but it's not terrible. It was not a bad injury. So,
What kind of average retainer y'all?
when you say retainage, we typically do 5%, and that's I think state law has gotten it where you can't hold any more than 5%. So we stay with 5%, and some projects, depending on how it's phased and if there's some potential partial occupancy, you may change those at certain changes in the project. Let's say that it's a project that has maybe 2 different sections, and you turn over one of them, then you'd reduce the retainage to lesser percentage on the part that's occupied until completion.
Yeah, because most people don't realize retaining a lot of times is profit. A lot of it. Say, for example, you do a $16 project, and they're holding back $600,000, and we're on hold right now because of other MEPs not necessarily able to finish. A lot of companies will come in there and ask the owner, okay, we'll go ahead and get a percentage of our
That's
percentage. It's not our fault.
Right.
But do y'all do that, or do y'all wait till the end?
We like for it to be written into the contract that, at a certain point, you reduce retainage. The one project that I gave you a minute ago, the only thing that we were not able to deliver within a year's time frame was an elevator. And that's through no fault of anybody's except for you couldn't get parts for the elevator. So we got a project sitting there that, by the terms of the contract, they're holding 5% of, that portion of the contract was what, $7 million? So holding a pretty good little chunk of change. Well, the owner, because of the performance history and them knowing what the value of the elevator was, we reduced the retainage to everything but the value of the elevator. So there's ways to account for that and to treat what we're after is not only to treat the town fair, but to treat the tradesmen and the subcontractors fairly as well.
Jerry, I know I mentioned to you, we spent a pile of money on already. Is there any way, y'all's firm, take a look at those plans? That I mean, some people say they're wasting now, they're no good, whatever, and try to utilize some of that? Is that saving anything? Taxpayers' money, we spend a lot of money.
Kit and I actually talked about it earlier today, and it depends on, if that design, you like the design and keeping it all under one roof, absolutely. That building can be built for a lot less, and we can prove that to you. But, it sounded to me like, you guys maybe leaning toward 3 buildings. Which one of them was not in this design.
Correct.
Then you had your,
I'm thinking that roof, the way that it's drawn, is a $35, $40 square foot roof, and I think you can, if you don't have to have the roof profile, you can cut it back to 9 or 10.
I mean, I know we're not there yet. I don't speak for nobody else on the board, but I don't think we're saying, maybe going away from our original design. Put the police department here, town hall, but there, just the town hall portion. Could you use any of those things?
I think part of what maybe you're asking is a yes. I think you can take, if that owner's rep and the town board agrees the spaces are right, there's a space for everything and a thing for every space, then a lot of that information that takes us some time to get to, you're cutting to the chase a little quicker. If that schematic design and the program was correct on the first architect's part, then there's a lot of money and time that could be saved. So you may not reap the benefits of reusing the plans, but some of the planning and the schematic piece of it can be, I won't say skipped, because we don't want to skip the step that makes sure that we're all on the same wavelength and going down the right road real fast.
I think what you're saying also too, I mean, if we are considering separating the buildings, we now have a much bigger footprint to build a town hall where we were trying to cram a police station and a town hall. And I think that it is starting over. Other than what we were looking to use the rooms for, or as you said, sometimes the size of them, this was adequate for this, or break room, or this was good for the town manager or whatnot. It's giving you some idea of somewhere we started, but I think if we wind up just doing a town hall here only, our footprint has increased immensely of what we could have done. And I know it may be that it's not a 2-story building anymore, that it becomes, a 1 instead of.
Well, there's a lot of concerns and a lot of ways to look at it when you start peeling back the layers and you're taking a building that's all under one roof and you're dividing it out and, making one, police station, some holding areas, and some office space for them, and then doing the same thing for the town hall. You may lose a little bit of utility in some rooms that may have had some usefulness, or some facilities that may have had usefulness to both of them. But by the same token, you may gain some utility from having 2 buildings that do separate things.
With the ability to add on to those 2 separate buildings as growth, because what we can't do is undersize this for something that we're going to outgrow in 15 years. Because at the rate we're growing, we have to plan for the future of what we are and the employees that we're going to have, and it's going to grow fast. So.
If they're very, very knowledgeable, has been your kind of like your owner rep. For example, you have
Very knowledgeable.
and Town of Nightdale's we've got a similar situation with them. Their Public Works Director is acting as their owner's rep, and very knowledgeable, been involved in the trades probably since he was 25 years old, and took over their Public Works Department. Had a good working knowledge of that, and we've become good team members together, and I think that would be a relationship if you want to explore some past history and work history. Then you could certainly reach out to him and ask him how that works, for not only for him and a design builder, but how that relationship works out for the town. And I think it's a positive thing because it makes sure that that person is in tune with, he's in charge of maintaining all those facilities once they're done. And he gets, input, whether it's a fire station or whether it's a public park or whatever it is. He makes sure that the town's wishes are taken care of. And that's a very important thing, and make sure those goals are congruent.
Knowing that there's 3 buildings and one may not be, needed to be, you said in the right way, such a, I'm gonna say, it's not a nice, it's gonna be a nice building, but not as up to the standard of the town hall. Let's say like the community center, we may not use city design for that,
That's right.
There's a purpose and need for that versus, say, maybe I'm gonna call it, family center or something.
Yeah.
You may not need that, depending on the type of structure that you want out there or, can afford at this time. At the end of the day, you're gonna have the same quality, you're gonna have the building that you want on time, on budget. So, you may decide, let's say, hey, let's not use city design.
That's right.
Project, but we should because, you want those to be represented. So, kind of answer in the future with home.
Yeah, and we make those architects and engineers kind of on a per project basis. I mean, we don't use C Design, we've done those 7 or 8 projects with, and have a great relationship with them, and have the desire to do a lot more because they're good, common sense people. But they do have that wow factor, and you can see in the work that, see in the evidence from those pictures, they are wow factor jobs. But then we've got other architects and engineers that maybe have a little more common sense approach to it, that if it's a lesser project or a lesser need for that wow factor, then we may switch gears and do something different. So it's your choice. That's right.
That's the beauty of design build, folks, is that from day one, when you say, hey, we want to explore this and move further, you engage in to the day you get to.
That's right.
Let me ask you a question too. I don't know if it's town and state government, whatever, what our regulations are. But would it save us any money if we went to like a C-SIP or a O-SIP program?
You want to explain what that is?
Owner's controlled insurance program or a contractor controlled insurance program?
I don't know that the cost of that is going to be tremendously different. Now, I can't speak to it with a lot of knowledge, but I can tell you that if you're maintaining, I'm assuming that you're talking about the builder's risk piece of it, the property and casualty from during the construction period at least. I've not seen a lot of difference in those policies, whether the owner or the contractor provides that. I've got one client that likes to carry theirs, and we've compared notes, and those notes have yielded that there's not really a lot of difference in the cost for the owner at the end. You've got control.
This is what we're paying, and this is what Travis is paying, and see that, hey, that's a savings, you take the savings.
Yeah.
We can go that route.
Yeah, we'll identify in a budget to you a line item for just about everything, right down to the toilet paper we'll stock in the stalls at the end. And when you go through those lists and you say, if it's an item that the town can do, if it's insurance, if it's, just about anything other than the bonding, furnishings and fixtures, some of those things you may want to take on your part, because you can maybe buy them direct, and get those. I wouldn't recommend you going direct on, trying to sub the, drywall or the PM&E out. I mean, it begins to get messy at that point. You need to.
Right,
That's
right.
If it's structured cabling, let us pull the cable, and if you want to do the terminations and the IT systems, then that makes sense. But there's certain points, and the insurance is one of them, where it may make as much sense for you to do one as us. We just want to make sure, and you want to make sure, that regardless who's carrying it, somebody's carrying it, and that we're all adequately covered.
Okay. Given the fact that we've been playing around with the pandemic and that we are growing, is there any percentage in building a one-story building that has that the steel exceeds the needs, the specifications for the first floor, so that we could come back and add a second floor later for at least part of the building?
I think in 26 years I've been doing that, we've done that once. I don't.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
And
Okay.
it's as much in the cost as it is in the risk, because when you're building something over something that exists, we did a church that has the ability to add a third floor over it. So we poured a concrete deck, put a roof with tapered insulation on top of it, sloped it to drains, that whole 9 yards. Still, there's a lot of danger in doing that type of construction, because we have to penetrate that concrete, we have to penetrate that roof, we open them up to the weather, and it's just, I think it's one of those things that sounds like a good idea in the beginning, but the more you think about it, the less reasons you can come up with to do it.
Well, okay, do you see situations where they build out but don't utilize the whole structure? Yeah. That may make more sense.
That or building with the idea of having an expansion area already built in.
That's
Even
what
if
I'm
you
saying.
don't build the square footage, you make it so that it's expandable economically.
In the prior plans, the 20,000 square foot plan, I don't know how much, 2,000 or 3,000 square feet were not finished out. So. Right. Okay. Any other questions? Well, I appreciate the knowledge and professionalism of Mr. Price. Unfortunately, some of us, it was like speaking in tongues, but.
If I finish the best I want to get going over the flashlight, you won't see any spots on the wall or whatever. Most of the time, if you do that, y'all kick you in the butt with the flashlight.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a lot to consider.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate your presentation.
I hope I didn't talk too much.
No. Okay. If you, I guess Richard has your contact information.
Is there a way that you could send this presentation too, Richard, that we could view it. Yes, very hard to see those small pictures and fonts and things from this angle. That would be lovely. Thank you.
You can have the flash drive, that's what we bought. Justin's logo.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome to have that, so you don't even have to.
All right.
I was gonna tell you when I met with Mr. Milton, I didn't know who his builder was, but I have spent about 35 years in eastern North Carolina. And I think Jackson Builders has actually built some buildings for me. You see their signs all over eastern North
Yeah.
Carolina. And I think what we brought to you this evening are two very reputable contractors that have been in the business for 40 plus years. And I think you can see both of them would have the town's best interest at heart. And I think the design build is an option. I think it is a less expensive option than what you used before. I think you can get maybe most or all of what you want to do with the numbers you were looking at prior. I know, both of them can do the job. I've seen both of them work. I know Bobby Evans. I mean, I would, vouch for him personally. They're a, good Christian family, and they've been working all over eastern North Carolina. Jackson Builders is a good reputable company. They've been working all over eastern North Carolina. If you want to use design build, you do have to the board has to make a determination that design build is the preferred option, and why. After you do that, you have to do an RFQ and give builders the opportunity to present a proposal to you. When you rank those proposals, and then you choose, either one or two. And, once you choose your builder, then you move forward with the design build. And I think, like Junior said, if you're going to do design build, you need full and complete trust in that builder. And I think we gave you two this evening that can meet that obligation for you. So,
Man, I hate to promote, but I'm just one person on this board. But I've been on some, but I've been on some of Jerry's projects.
Well,
and if you,
And I know the town manager has made a suggestion to me, Jerry and Ken. How would y'all feel, like I say, I'm speaking for myself, if we did 3 projects, and at the end of the day, we said, okay, you guys can do 2 of them. We'll get the third. How would y'all feel? Would you want to know that up front? Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
One thing you may consider, Matt, we're certainly not all in.
Right.
We take 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
The thing that will behoove the town is to make sure that you give somebody the amount of work that there's an economy of scale to be gotten on the town's part. And that can come in the form of reduced supervision costs, reduced general conditions costs, reduced project management costs. And there's just a whole lot of little pieces. We just proved that on Wayne County project where they had opportunities. There were 2 separate shell buildings that we're building both of them because we took the general conditions and took it out half. Because we can do 2 for the price of 1.
mhm.
I don't think with an office building and a complex like you're talking about, I don't think you're gonna cut it in half, but you can trim it pretty significantly if you go, 3 projects all in.
Hmm.
But we certainly thank you out for. And like you said, Barrier's a good company. I mean, we know them, I've done projects with them, on them, but, I think when I got the call, came to bed and learned about what you did, I said, maybe we need to team up again and come out this because we're local, we're here, we live in Warren County, and we will drive by and we're gonna give you.
Right. Well, we certainly want the building to last longer than the loan does, and yet we want something substantial that we can be proud of, and without breaking the bank. So,
And if you go this route, I think once you narrow it down to one or two or whatever, I mean, go see some of their buildings, see what kind of building they do. I mean, go visit, 2 or 3 buildings of each.
I have, I've worked with a bunch of them.
I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, you got to put it out for other proposals by law.
Yes.
And you rate them, and then you decide which one you want. Like I said, 1 or 2, and then you go visit those 2. I mean, go see what they build. Go see what it looks like. See what the customer says.
Okay. Well, I don't know that we're certainly at the end of the process here, so we appreciate you contributing to our journey as we decide what to do. Certainly, the prospect of doing more with less is a good one. All right. So we've already demolished a dwelling. The number 2 under the business items is endorsing the multimodal planning grant program. Who's going to present that for us? Right. Okay. Do you need to know anything else? Is there a motion? Okay. Further discussion? So then the motion is that we approve the resolution endorsing the multimodal planning grant program as in number 2 of the business items. All in favor of that, please raise your right hand. Okay, thank you. It passes unanimously. All right, voluntary annexation petition submitted by Chris McKinney. And all we're doing here is directing the clerk to investigate the sufficiency of the petition. So is there a motion that we...
I make a motion that we authorize the clerk to...
Or we direct the clerk. Yeah, we
Yes.
need to push her a little bit harder than authorize.
To
Okay.
investigate the sufficiency of that petition.
That would be it. Thank you, sir. Okay. If there's no discussion, all in favor, please raise your right hand. That's good. Okay. Passes unanimously. All right. We have a closed session schedule pursuant to the General Statute 143, 318, 11A 4 and 6, right? A5 and 6, okay. And I assume we could discuss what we've heard tonight a little bit. What would that involve? Well, I think just process, not substantive. Okay, so which is A6? Okay, so 4 and 6. Is there a motion that we go into closed session under A4 and A6? All in favor, please raise your right hand and go do a potty break if you need to and come back in 5 minutes.